Councilman Eckhoff, who did let me know that he was unable to make it tonight. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests. Item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of minutes of the regular meeting on October 6, 2025 is on file with the City Clerk's office. Item E, approval of Treasurer's Report of Claims in the amount of $1,237,903.63. Item F, approval of Envision Landscape LLC claims in the amount of $880. Item G, approval of Boswell Report of Claims in the amount of $1,009,825.80. Item H, approval of BPW Report of Claims in the amount of $1,630,235.40. Item I, approval of change order number 1, increase in the amount of $7,967.90, and pay request number 3 in the amount of $222,261.67 to Philip Kakowski Construction and Trenching for Lift Station number 6 Rehabilitation Project as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Item J, approval of change order number 1, increase in the amount of $19,092.31, and pay request number 1 in the amount of $112,113.29 to R.L. Tiemann for the 4th and 5th Street Downtown Improvement Project 2025, as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Approval of pay request number 1 in the amount of $396,747.55 to Judd Brothers Construction for the West Court Street Water Main Crossing Project as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Item L, approval of pay request number 9 in the amount of $431,550 to Genesis Contracting Group for the Boswell South MSW Landfill Site Entrance Facility Project. Item M, approval of change order number 2, combining Phase 3 and Phase 4 of the Beatrice Municipal Airport Reconstruct Taxi C and Apron Project into a single phase. Item N, approval of pay request number 2 in the amount of $202,228.08 to Building Crafts Incorporated for the WPC Grit Improvement Project. Item O, resolution number 7638, execute an agreement for professional services retaining JEO to provide engineering design for the Beatrice Chemical Feed Improvement Projects, JEO project number 251912, as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Resolution number 7639, approving a request for J. Husker's Auto Club to close the highway of 136, which is also known as Court Street, from 3rd to 6th on Saturday, September 26, 2026, between 12 p.m. until 10 p.m. for the car show. For a note, if you thought you passed that, we did. This extends it from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. So, resolution number 7640, entering into a 2-year lease between the city and the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 84 for the purpose of a health and fitness training center for the Beatrice Police Department in a portion of the 1st and 2nd floor of the Beatrice Police Station. Resolution number 7641, entering into an agreement between the city and Carolina Software Incorporated for integrating the SCALE software with Castle at the city landfill. Item S, resolution number 7642, executing the letter agreement extending the Interlocal Cooperation Act agreement between the city and the county of Gage for the purpose of providing ambulance services in certain areas of Gage County, Nebraska through June 30, 2026. Resolution number 7643, terminating an agreement with Ramsey Smart Dollar regarding financial wellness training for full-time city employees. Item U, resolution number 7644, executing the First Amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding with the Beatrice Community Hospital Foundation Incorporated in order to change the legal description of the Cancer Memorial Garden. Item V, resolution number 7642, executing the consulting agreement and any necessary documents between the city and Alfred Benish and Company to retain Benish for consulting services for the purchase and installation of a new navigational assistance equipment at the Beatrice Municipal Airport. Item W, resolution number 7646, executing the amendment to the professional service agreement dated January 16, 2023, between the city and Southeast Nebraska Development District, also known as SEND, to extend the term of said agreement. And item X, resolution number 7647, entering into an agreement between the city and Carsoft Technology Corporation to utilize Samsara's software for automatic vehicle location and telematics for the fire department fleet vehicles. Anybody want anything pulled off or explained?
One. Through number 2J, if you would, please. The other one, I'll wait on that one.
Want that pulled off or explanation?
Really just more of a, start the meeting off good in a positive note. I'd like to thank James and Barry and Doug, those guys in the engineering department, for the job they did on 4th and 5th, because they did it themselves. We didn't hire that out, right? And I've heard nothing but good comments. Maybe you guys have heard some different things than that, but to get 4 blocks right in the middle of our town and not have a ton of complaints shows how good a job those guys did. Also would like to thank Team Construction, because according to James, they did a really good job of talking to the property owners when they went by to try to minimize their effects on their businesses. So I think that turned out to be a pretty good project, most of which I think was widening the street. You know, that was a big compliment getter for all of us. I think that was a good decision we made. So that was all, Bob. Thank you.
Okay. And the clarification is we widened the parking stalls, kept the street the same.
Yep.
Same result.
Same result.
But just a little bit technical.
Yep.
Just
okay.
Follow up with Terry. I've heard nothing but positive comments on that project.
Okay. So anything to pull off? If not, Mr. McLain?
I move the items listed on the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. There are no public hearings or bids tonight. We'll move on to resolutions. Resolution number 7648, executing the union contract with the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 84.
I move the resolution number 7648 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Okay. I guess I know it's in your packet. I do believe the first is a 2-year contract. The first raise is 2.75. I think the second year is at 3.0. When we visited with them, one of the things that we did make a difference in is there really wasn't a category for sergeants, which is actually a step above the patrolman. And so we added that step in there, I think, which was probably a good move. And so, you know, I think it's a reasonable contract, and I think, quite honestly, I will tell you that the negotiations with the Fraternal Order of Police went very, very well. Any questions? All right. If not, your vote, please. And that passed 7-0. We'll move on to item B, resolution number 7649, executing a loan agreement, promissory note, personal guarantee, and deed of trust between the City of Beatrice and John A. Hydo and Rita R. Hydo for a direct loan in the amount of $75,000 for the city's CDBG Downtown Revitalization Grant 23-DTR-002.
I move the resolution number 7649 be passed and adopted.
Second.
And again, there's really nothing different about this than in the other downtown revitalization loans that we've had. Are there any questions?
The difference maybe was Mr. Woodward. I congratulate the Hydos for getting that building. It's a major component downtown, and now I know it's going to be taken care of. Over the last 5 or 6 years, there have been a lot of phone calls with Mr. Woodward, but they were way more successful than I was, obviously, so I'm glad they got that.
Okay. We'll have to ask you to abstain.
I did already.
Perfect. All right, your vote, please. And that passes 6 and 1 abstention. Okay, C, resolution number 7650, adopting the ADA transition plan for the city of Beatrice.
I move the resolution number 7650 be passed and adopted.
Second.
And again, this is what was handed out last week, or 2 weeks ago. One of the things that I didn't mention, since I've seen a plan like this and had one out at the college, there's a real logical way of doing a number of those projects, because now we have a playbook, and I certainly can't do all of them at one time. But now we have a way that says, as we do maintenance, as we do the small things, you can just kind of do that anyway. If you're going to replace something, you look at the book and say, does this need to be done? And so with that, what other questions might we have? Seeing none, your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. All right, resolution number 7651, appointing Mike McLain as the city council's representative on the group to discuss combining the Beatrice Area Chamber of Commerce, Gage Area Growth Enterprises, and Main Street.
I move the resolution number 7651 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Mike has been our rep to NGage as this group continues to work on their merger processes. It made sense, since Mike has been involved with most of the meetings, I think, to appoint him. Any other discussion needed?
I've got a question, Bob.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, probably not really a question, more of a statement. Mike's on the when they started having the conversation about the merger, we had a small group from the council that met with him.
Yes.
Mike, Alex, myself. If Mike can't attend one of these things, can Alex or myself fill in for him? I mean, have you had that conversation with them? I think it's important that we have. Well, I don't know how much of a voice you have, or if you're just setting in, Mike, because I haven't been involved in it.
We haven't had one of the new merger talks meetings
Okay,
yet.
so I brought it up before that,
Okay.
So I just want you to, I'm asking you to consider that, check with them if that's okay. But if Mike can't be there, I'd appreciate it if either Alex or myself could attend.
Okay. That's a
Which you want
reasonable
part of the money
request.
too, he's getting paid.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and
I'll split
half
it
of
with
his salary that Mike's getting for that would be good.
I wish. I just got twice as many meetings to go to.
You know what? You can double it. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? If not, your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. And our last resolution is resolution number 7652, executing the amendment with Gage County and any other documents necessary regarding the disbursement of the remaining GCED funds.
I move the resolution number 7652 be passed and adopted.
Second.
This is, and I don't know how, maybe through the merger conversations this was discovered, or it might have been one of the banks. There has been money in the GCED account for a number of years. And I also believe that there might be some, as with all banks, there might be some monthly charges or whatnot. And so the question was, where does that money come from? And the money was given to GCED by the county and the city, and I don't think there's a record of who gave what and when and where. But on the other side of the coin, it is taxpayer money. I think the right place for it is to the merger group, but as far as procedurally, it needs to come back to the city. And this document says that we will be responsible for half, and that the county will be responsible for half. And so our portion in this resolution, will adopt that our half will come to us, and then we will in turn give them that $15,000 plus what we typically give them in a year to complete the merger for this year.
So how much is in this account?
About 30,000.
About
So it'll be
30,000.
Should be about 15,000 apiece, give or take a little bit. Like I said, it's been there for a long time.
So not just $100 left over, significant money.
No, it's a significant money. And, I think there was, I think that was a time that I was not here. And I think there was some rough patches between the city, the county, and GCED. I'll just say it that way. And I've, reached out, and I know that Mr. Garnett is the one that's going to have to sign the document over to, or the check over to us. And his only guarantee was, well, what are we going to do to make sure that it goes back to the merged group? And so that's why you see this resolution in place.
Yeah, how much is the total we're going to give them every year, the city's half?
We give the city gives them $150,000. So up to $150,000, because again, it is reimbursable. And so if they don't have, city gives 150, county gives 150, and if they don't spend $300,000, of course, we're not going to spend all of that. And it doesn't carry over because then a new 150 starts over again.
Does the county's part include the tourism funds?
No,
Okay.
it does not. No.
Bob, do you have any idea what the county intends to do with the $15,000 that they're getting a check cut for? Are they doing the same thing we're doing? I would assume that would be the.
Yes, I mean, it's going to go before them to pass, and the way the resolution is written, that is basically what they need to do with the money. How's that?
Yep. Good enough. Good enough.
And if they vote it no, then I guess we'll figure out what we're going to do next.
Talk about it again.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. All right, anybody here for the public forum? Seeing none. How about the Main Street Quarterly Report? And this is the Main Street Quarterly Report of where we are. This is not associated with the merger.
Right.
So if you have a merger question, you don't have to worry about asking Virginia that at all tonight. How's that?
That's perfect.
But we can ask if she's ready for Thursday night.
Oh, yes, we
It's
can
trick or
ask.
treating. And it's going to be nice, so I think it's going to be very crowded downtown.
Pass this, you guys can kind of just pass it around.
Okay.
Take a look at it.
You done with it?
Pretty close.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Should have taken a picture of that. Don't you think?
I don't know. Staying out of it.
I know.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. So what I've passed out, that little booklet that's going around, that is our hard copy of our downtown business directory. So that will be put on our website, and it'll be a digital form. So I just had one printed up hard copy, so that way you guys have something to page through and tangible to see. So, starting with our annual promotional items and events, as you can see, and like I said, I'll get to the inserts at the correct time. But so I'm starting this page here. So as you can see, our chocolate lovers obviously is 100% complete. Our Night of the Great Pumpkin is coming up October 23rd. Our Santa Rise and holiday events will be coming up as well. Our holiday shopping guide this year will be a digital shopping guide. And then what Main Street is doing in 2025 or what we have done. So the E3 awards of $15,000, we completed that. The 75 business visits. And so one thing with the business visits that I think is notable for you guys is one of the questions on there, is the community's infrastructure adequate for your property or tenant growth plan? From all those that I spoke with and obtained data from, a large majority, I would say at least 95% said yes. So, I mean, and a small handful mentioned that parking was an issue. And I don't think that that's anything new to you guys. I'm sure you're familiar with that. So that was kind of the, from the business retention and expansion visits, that would be really the most notable information I think that would be important to you guys as well. And then next, constructing the downtown business directory. Like I mentioned, it's kind of going around so you guys can kind of page through it and look through it. It's very simple, straightforward. And then how we're going to get everything kind of organized digitally will depend on our page sizes and all the, was it megabytes or how big it is, that kind of stuff. So we'll work with our website manager to get that uploaded as well. Currently, our website refresh is on hold, and I had spoke to Tobias about that months ago. So, and that kind of went on hold with all the smart talks, so that currently is still on hold. 50% of the downtown district buildings inventoried in the building opportunities on Main Street or the booms tracker. So actually, my goal was to get 50% of that done. I've got 100% of that done.
Yo.
So I've not only got 100% of the goal completed, but beyond that. So your first insert will look like this. So this is the information that the booms tracker spits out. You can see our downtown district, and it logs that there's 312 parcels, and of that, 229 parcels have buildings, 78 buildings with vacancies. Let's see. I think the 0 vacant parcels, and I think that's just tracks if we haven't completed it. But of those, 66 have maintenance and repair needs. 47 are significant buildings and parcels. So what that means is that kind of like historically significant to the community. Excuse me. 199 identified businesses. So technically, in our downtown district, we have 187, and this does not take into consideration those businesses that are on like more than one, like storefront or so. Like let's say quilt stitches. I mean, they have more than one spot. So that doesn't take that into consideration. So that's why the number's a little bit higher than what we actually have. It says 162 current housing units. That, I believe, is a combination of the housing units that we currently have, but then those that we have the opportunity for. And it says 18 potential housing units. I think that's a little low. I'm not exactly sure how the computer calculates that, but myself and Allie from Main Street, Nebraska, we entered in the data. We looked at each building, but like I said, however, our inputs were good. I don't know how the system calculates that, but I think that's kind of low. And it says 2 ground floors with vacancies. I know that there's more than that. So like I said, I think those 2 numbers, I'm not sure what the computer system, how it calculates that. And it says 3 upper floors with vacancy. And like I said, I think that's kind of low too. So I think those last 3 numbers, I think those are off. Next, I took those.
Just a second. So the buildings on the front page of this, it says buildings with vacancies, 78. Is that completely empty, or is this when you have something available, like the housing units that are available upstairs that aren't rented, is that part of that 78?
I believe so.
Okay, that paints that a little better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that 78 takes into account main
Vacancies.
level and upper level.
And vacancies.
Yes.
Not vacant, but vacancies available.
Right.
Okay.
So of those pie charts, I blew those up, and those are on your next page. So building vacancy, like I said, this is how the program spits out the information. Entirely vacant, it says there's 23. Fully occupied is 145. Partially vacant or partially occupied, 55. And then unclear or other, 5. Next one is the building use. So you got a lot of different categories there. Your largest is going to be commercial, business, or nonprofit, 131. Cultural, 3. Educational, 4. Government, 4. Mixed use or commercial residential, 35. Mixed use of other combination, 1. It says parking, 2, but I think we have more than 2 spots, public parking spots. So I'm not exactly sure how, like I said, we put the stuff in, and I'm not sure how the computer system likes to spit it out accurately, but it is what I got. Recreational, 1, religious, 5, and residential, 42. So that's a breakdown of how the buildings are used. And lastly, on the back side is the parcel land use. So this one says that land that's currently in construction or a demo site is 1. Park and recreation, 12. And then it says parking lot, 68. So this is, like I said, this is all the information that comes from that booms tracker. I'm honestly, with the program, I'm not overly impressed as it is right now. However, I just received notification from Main Street Nebraska that that Main Street America is currently working on upgrading the program and adding some other features to it. So if they are able to improve the program and it can kind of give us a little bit more information, I think the program would be good. But otherwise, I mean, like I said, everything you have before you is the information that I can get out of that program. Not a lot. I mean, I've seen other programs that have spit out far more detailed information. I think it's a good starting point, but like I said, there's always room for improvement. So this is what I set before you. Next, we did our 2 business training workshops, July 28th and August 25th. Those were done by Shannon Filing. She was also the same lady that did the marketing workshop, the next one, that was at the end of June. So we had decent turnout. Everybody who attended those workshops were very impressed, and everybody walked away with having learned something, and something tangible that they can take back to their business and incorporate it into making improvements. So we were happy with her teaching, and happy with the turnout that we had.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if it's more of a comment than a question, but after the merger, I would hope that the new group could put something like this together for our entire community as far as commercial property goes. It would sure be beneficial. It'd be one of the things I could see that we don't have now.
The workshops or the Booms.
No, the information that you give us, it's simple to read and,
Oh.
yeah, the community, the GCED had one and the chamber kind of had one, and maybe now it can all be together. Hopefully it'll improve that kind of communication.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, your organization,
Yeah. I was
whether
just-
it's separate or not, but.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely something I'll pass along to the others. All right, and then, like I said, the marketing workshop was completed at end of June, working with and supporting the city's Raise Grant beautification efforts in progress. And then present quarterly reports to the city, January, April, July, and October completed. Submit monthly financial reports to the city by the 5th. Those have been completed as well. Now moving on to the next page. For businesses, we've been sending out our monthly newsletters. We have a reach of about 1,500. Those have been coming out on or as close to the first of the month as possible. Our downtown business directory, like I said, it's been going around so that way you guys can kind of page through it. Like I said, something's just simplistic, straightforward, gives you the contact information that's available on each business, and also lets you know if they have a Facebook page or not. Like I said, pretty straightforward and simple. Our $50,000 T-Mobile grant application has been resubmitted. We were declined for the last round. And looking at those communities that did get the funding, their projects were more like a one big cohesive project, whereas ours is, like you can see, Christmas lights, event fencing, and alley mural lighting. So ours is kind of like three little pieces. So I'm under the impression that they want, one big, okay, this is our project and this is what we're funding. So I think that might have affected the outcome of us not getting that grant. However, I resubmitted it. So I should be hearing back by the end of the month if we got denied again. Or maybe we get the funds. I don't know. We'll find out.
Virginia?
Yes.
One sec. Two small things. On this booms tracker thing, would you
Yeah.
write yourself a note to call me and let's get together? I want to talk to you more detail. I have some ideas on this.
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
We'll get together and talk. This grant, whether you're told yes or no, will we receive it timely, or is it this year or next year, or do you know?
If we get accepted, or if we are approved for it, let's see, I think the funds go out in November. I believe it's maybe end of
So
November.
we could still use it,
Yeah.
at least some of it anyway, maybe.
I was gonna say, it would be really tight, kind of cutting it close, but yeah.
Yep, okay, thanks.
I wouldn't hold your breath.
Yep. Okay.
So, so then business, like I said, business training workshops, Shannon Filing did those. She was a great instructor, very knowledgeable. Everybody liked her. State and national business recruitment. So in of the inserts I gave you, this is the one here. So this is what I put together. I worked with Rachel from NGage, and she was very helpful with giving me the information that they kind of put together for any type of correspondence with business recruitment. So I took a look at what they currently have in place. I mean, granted, they kind of tailor it to each individual business. But like I said, I looked at it and kind of pulled apart, what I needed, and then how to kind of organize it to best represent our community. And so this is what I've constructed, just a very short, straightforward letter of inquiry for businesses. along with some information of demographics, some consumer spending patterns that came off of, I think it was the censusreporter.org and our Nebraska Department of Economic Development. I think it was it's either 2021 or 2023. I think it's 2021 reports. And then I included our available downtown business locations and then funding opportunities as well. So this is meant to be kind of a conversation starter for small businesses. And like I said, you can just page through it. It's just kind of like a quick synopsis that I sent out and did research for 60 small businesses across the state and across the country. Let's see. Of those 60 that I sent it out to, 10 were specialty and unique retail. 10 were entertainment for kids, family, and adults. 18 were clothing, 16 were food, and 6 were franchises. So, like I said, this is just meant as a starting point for a conversation. And I took that information from the report that was, I think, like I said, I think it's 2021 or 2023, where it stated that our Beatrice consumer patterns, like with restaurant spending patterns, people are more likely than the national average to eat breakfast and dinner at a fast food restaurant, and the same thing for breakfast and dinner at a family restaurant. So looking at the things that jumped out at me, that's where I focused my efforts in business recruiting. And I took a look at different businesses, like I said, mostly within Nebraska, just because if they are able to consider opening up a business in our downtown and fill up some of our spaces, it would be a quicker or a shorter distance for them to move.
Are you saying, do you have the capacity to follow up? Is that what you're saying? When you mail these out to people, are you able to follow up at all with those?
I was going to say, yeah, to some degree, yes. Because, I mean, some of these places, there were, bigger companies where, are you going to be able to necessarily talk to the head guy in charge? Not necessarily. I mean, I'm just Virginia from Nebraska. But I was going to say, like I said, majority of them are small businesses. So, yeah, it's absolutely feasible and possible to follow up with them pretty easily, actually. So that is one thing that currently has just went out recently. Community leadership and involvement. There's been 2 historic downtown tours. So Lorraine has been very good at and very knowledgeable with our downtown business, our downtown, the history. So we're also working with the Leadership Beatrice group to get her to record some of those informational tidbits that she's got on the buildings in our downtown, because one of the historic downtown tours was to the group of the Leadership Beatrice, and they were incredibly impressed with her knowledge, and everybody just walked away. They're like, we did not know this about Beatrice, and they didn't know the history of it, and they're like, we have to preserve this somehow, some way. So we're working with them to be able to harness that. So that's something that's in the works as well. Nebraska Arts Council, so that met for their annual assembly. I went up to Norfolk, Nebraska, and one of the big topics this year was getting youth involved in public art. So actually, we're kind of ahead of the game because the next item for the Big Give Gage, we raised funds for the Children's Paint by Number Community Mural. We've raised $2,176.12. So that will actually go on the west side of the city office building, along that retaining wall, along 4th Street. And then, like I said, with those funds, who knows what we'll end up doing next. But I think there's enough funds there to continue that. And everybody that heard about the idea was like, you mean I can take my kids to paint publicly in a mural? And people just love the idea. And like I said, that also gives kids an opportunity to say, hey, I got to be a part of this. And youth don't have that opportunity all that often these days. So getting youth involved in public art, like I said, that was the focus of the Nebraska Arts Council Assembly, and we're already on it. So, the Main Street Nebraska Network, let's see, we did host the Historic Tax Incentive and Section 106 training workshop here in Beatrice this year. That was attended by members of, and I think even more than just members, because I think Saunders County was here, a member from, I think the Board of Supervisors. There were some other people I don't remember offhand. But, so we had a good showing and a good turnout for that workshop as well. So we got to be the host of that this year. Also, we picked up the slack just because for the Chamber of Commerce, the Trails of Treasures, I know that they've been having some maybe short staffing. So we were able to take that on and help out with that this year. Downtown properties, so we're on the back side of the page now. $1,050,000 finally got cut loose to the Paddock Kensington. So that has obviously commenced. Our historic preservation education projects. So with Main Street Nebraska Network, they had us select 2 properties to put together kind of a, this is how big each report is. So we have 513 Ella and 101 South 5th Street. So these are information packets that are for the owners just to give them an idea of, okay, here's the history of your property. Here's an idea of, maybe some renovations. And then here's some resources for you, as well as some places to access funding. So this was, like I said, this was a byproduct from Main Street, Nebraska, for our community. Lastly, our Main Street Beatrice events. So our downtown summer savings event went from July 14th to the 19th. So we had 10 businesses participate. It was basically a week-long downtown sales event. And of those participating businesses, they mentioned that they had noticeable increase in customer traffic. So that's good. I mean, we want to see that. Our second annual Taste of Downtown occurred on August 23rd. We had 13 businesses participate, 45 attendees. Registrants came from largely Beatrice. We had 33 from Beatrice. 2 came from each of Lincoln, Pickerel, Martel, Auburn, Blue Springs. And we had 1 person from DeWitt and 1 from Wymore. The feedback was incredibly positive from both attendees and business participants. So just like the chocolate lovers, people came back and were saying, oh, I found this business, I found that business, I didn't realize that this was here. So basically kind of the same feedback from chocolate lovers, and everybody loved the opportunity to get out and go visit, designated businesses. So I made sure that I asked people as they came back, did you find new places to shop for Christmas? So it's planting that seed that continue to shop local beyond this event. And a lot of people said yes, they're absolutely going to. And like I said, upcoming events, Night of the Great Pumpkin, October 23rd, 5 to 7 p.m. Governor's Pheasant Hunt, November 8th. And the fire truck rides with Santa are in December. That is what I got. You have any questions?
Any questions?
One last comment. There might not have been any new businesses this last quarter, but I at least enjoy when you put in here any new businesses that have sprung up during the last quarter. I get around like everybody else, but we miss some. So, and there may not have been any this last quarter, but if there are, I'd appreciate if you put it in here.
I was going to say, that was one thing I was looking up. We had grand openings. We had technically 5 grand openings. We had Empress Ink, Gray Morning Boutique, Indies Place, Vintage Sisters, and Avery Soul Boutique. I included those, I think, in my last quarterly report because they were open beforehand. Yeah. So I didn't want to regurgitate that. But yeah, so they're definitely a honorable mention this time around. So, but yeah, we didn't have any technically just open.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Move on to the city administrator's monthly report, which I think, Ted, you had a few comments.
I do. I just have 2 comments. I'm not going to ask any questions, Bob, because Tobias isn't here. I'm just going to make a couple of comments. So on page 1...
I can make something up.
What's that? You make something up?
Taylor.
Yeah, I can ask Taylor these questions. On page 1, he talks about Dempster's, and I always want to ring that Dempster's bell because it's so important. I believe the asbestos removal is completed. And for those in the community that go by it, if you look at the building, the windows that face the north and the windows that face the south, there's several of them that are gone. The framework is gone. Those won't be replaced. Those are the windows that the glazing still had asbestos in them. So those were removed and not going to be replaced. The ones that you see on the front of the building, that glazing was obviously newer, didn't have asbestos in it. That's why they didn't remove those. So I've had a couple of people ask about it, and that's the reason.
They're putting those windows into the Kensington then? Or
no, but the Kensington's really getting a lot of new windows in it. It looks really good if you look up when you go by. But I also wanted to let both the council and the community know, the Dempster's Committee, myself, Alex, Dwayne, Gary, we are in the process. We're getting some time frame down to meet. We have the city's budgeted some money to do some work there, and we're putting some ideas together. We're going to meet. We're going to make a recommendation back to the full body here. So thank you for doing that. So the other one is on page 4. He's talked about the landfill. And a couple of weeks ago, I had an opportunity to be at the tree, grass, stuff dump site. And I tried to look at the new landfill site, drove around it, and you really couldn't see it. So I reached out to Tobias and asked him if we had some drone shots of that. And he sent me a couple. And I would suggest that everyone here on the council look at those. It's very impressive. As you drive by it on the highway and drive by it on the county road, you think, that's pretty good sized. But until you get the overall view of it, you ask for the drone shots because so much work has been done there. It looks really good, and we should see that. So that's what I've got, those 2 things, Bob.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
I have a real quick follow-up on the Dempster's. I've had a couple people ask us about whether we could fix the sidewalk or do something with the sidewalk that's busted up where the fire was, because it's hard to walk there. If we can get it out of there and fill it in with sand or rock to make it a little bit easier. So I just wanted to, bring that up with the
That's a
dumpsters.
Taylor question.
Yeah, so for that, we are not disturbing any of the soil whatsoever.
Okay.
And that is a undefined term, so we are being very cautious so as to not take on any of that environmental liability. I'd imagine you'd start seeing some of that stuff come out a little bit further along the road when we can actually disturb the soil.
Okay, now I can give the people the answers. Thank you so much.
So Bob, one more thing on Dempster's. Now that he got it, when I walked it with Merchant McIntyre the other day, and you touched on it, they did talk about the brownfield grant that we're reapplying for. But Charlie, the guy that was on that side that sat on the ring, that he said that. He had already had an idea for a couple more grants, one of them state and one of them federal, and he was going to be looking into that. So we're not there. Merchant McIntyre is working on it, and they haven't. And after seeing the site, they've broadened their scope, not narrowed it. So
That's good.
yeah, it's very good.
Ted,
Ted, is there any way that that those drone shots can find their way on the website?
That's
I
Bob.
mean, if it's that impressive, people need to see just how expansive it is.
I think that's an
We'll
excellent
talk.
idea, Dave.
We'll talk to Amanda.
I was going to
Okay.
say, Amanda can crank them on.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't think I'm wrong, but I think also they were planning for a ribbon cutting or an open house when it is done.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Yep. Gary?
Hopefully for a discussion in the next meeting or so. I've had somebody ask me why we can't turn the 7th and Ella light into a stop sign. I've wondered the same thing, but because you turn left on it anyway. So, and yesterday I stopped there and there wasn't no traffic coming, so if it has, you can still turn left. But somebody asked me, so
We can have the traffic committee look at it.
okay, and then at 13th and Monroe, they want to know why, and I answered that question for them, but if we want to talk about it at the same time, it's already got a stop sign, so to slow the traffic down on Monroe. I think that was the correct answer.
Probably. Yep.
And then the last one is about the shuffleboard court downtown.
Okay?
As I have observed, I've never seen anybody on it. I don't think, Ted, I know that nobody has probably, and they want to know why we can't do something else with it, like a little rest area or a little dinky park or something other than that, since it was never used for what it was built for. Hope I didn't step on anybody's toes.
Didn't step
But
on
it's a
anybody's
question that the public asks.
toes. Okay. Well, those are good questions, and we'll try to see what we can follow up and figure out where we are, because that was put in with Leadership Beatrice funds, and
Yep.
so now we'll have to see where we're at with all of that.
I appreciate them for doing that.
One last thing while we're talking about properties. Where are we at with the cancer garden?
Well, we just,
That's a leadership thing, right?
Leadership?
no, that would
Well,
be
Hospital.
hospital.
Hospital, Leadership Beatrice, both of those. I believe tonight, we closed, or going to close the 3rd Street there, one of the things that we did.
Oh, okay.
And school will still be able to access their buildings from the other side, the north. But I think they're moving right along and really making some good plans for that whole area.
And you've seen with the downtown committee that in that report that the bids are out right now until the end of the month
Okay.
for doing that street. But
For 2nd and 3rd.
yep, but we gave them this year or next spring,
Right.
depending on which one would give us a better price. So I'm not sure when it's going to get done, but it may wait till next spring. But that coincides with they're merging those two entities together so that everybody knows what they're doing there.
Great. Thank you.
But anything else? If not, the next city council meeting will be November 3rd, right here, 6 p.m. Mr. McLain,
I move the meeting be adjourned at 6:53 PM.
Second.
and your vote?
Good job.
Nobody wants to
Sorry,
leave?
that was me. That was me.
Okay. 7-0. Thank you very much. Have a safe night, and we will see you in a couple weeks.